Officer Martinez carefully removed his handcuffs and stepped respectfully away from Maya. Ms. Simple. Henderson, I sincerely apologize for this misunderstanding. This situation was clearly misrepresented to law enforcement. No, Maya said with firm, unwavering authority. This wasn't a simple misunderstanding or communication error. This was systematic, institutional discrimination based entirely on racial profiling and classist assumptions about human worth. She turned deliberately to address Jessica's livestream camera directly, speaking to her global audience. My name is Maya Henderson. I am the Chief Executive Officer of American Airlines. For the past 3 years, I have been conducting completely unannounced passenger experience audits by flying anonymously on our flights, specifically to identify problems like this. The live stream audience exploded with excitement. 40,000 viewers and climbing rapidly. Today I discovered that some of our employees systematically treat passengers like criminals based solely on their physical appearance and economic assumptions. That discrimination ends immediately. Captain Kane was frantically reading corporate policy manuals on his phone, desperately trying to calculate exactly how much trouble he was facing. The answer was comprehensive: career-ending trouble. Brenda had completely collapsed into an empty seat, sobbing uncontrollably with the knowledge that her life was forever changed. Morrison kept repeating like a broken record, "This cannot be happening. This simply cannot be happening to us." But Maya Henderson had one final revelation that would change absolutely everything for everyone involved. She pulled out her phone and displayed the screen directly to Jessica's livestream camera for maximum global impact. I've been continuously recording high-quality audio of this entire interaction from the moment I boarded. Every discriminatory slur, every prejudiced comment, every single violation of federal civil rights law, all of it documented with legal precision. The recording application clearly showed 37 minutes of continuous, uninterrupted audio evidence, perfect legal documentation of everything that had transpired. Jessica's live stream hit 50,000 viewers as people around the world watched the most spectacular reversal of fortune in modern aviation history unfold in real time. And Maya Henderson was just getting started with the consequences. 4:07 p.m. Departure in 8 minutes. Maya stood calmly in the center of the chaos, surrounded by trembling employees and stunned passengers. Her phone displayed call logs showing 23 missed calls from corporate headquarters, the board of directors, and legal departments. She ignored them all. "Since we're all gathered here together," Maya said, her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone accustomed to commanding boardrooms, "let's discuss some very specific numbers that everyone should understand." She opened her portfolio to a section marked Financial Impact Analysis. American Airlines generated exactly $48.97 billion in total revenue last year. Our profit margins operate on extremely tight calculations, where every incident, every lawsuit, every public relations disaster directly impacts shareholder value. Morrison was still frantically trying to reach Patricia Walsh, his hands shaking so violently he could barely operate his radio. Sweat was beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. Maya continued with devastating precision. Discrimination lawsuits in the airline industry cost an average of $2.3 million per individual incident. That includes legal fees, settlements, punitive damages, and regulatory fines. She paused, letting the financial implications sink in while Jessica's live stream audience hit 55,000 viewers. Social media incidents of this magnitude typically reduce stock value by an average of 4.2% within the first 24 hours. Based on our current market capitalization, that represents approximately $890 million in immediate shareholder losses. Captain Kane's face went gray as he calculated his pension disappearing in real time. Maya withdrew another document from her portfolio, this one bearing the official seal of the Department of Transportation and the Federal Aviation Administration. Under Federal Aviation Regulation, Part 382, the Air Carrier Access Act, and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, what has occurred here today constitutes multiple federal violations, each carrying potential criminal charges. Brenda looked up from her sobbing. Criminal charges? Physical assault of a passenger, destruction of valid travel documents, discrimination based on race and perceived economic status, filing false reports with law enforcement. Each violation carries a potential sentence of up to 2 years in federal prison. Officer Martinez stepped forward uncomfortably. Ms. Possible. Henderson, if you want to press charges, we'll discuss that momentarily, Maya replied. But first, I want everyone to understand exactly what systematic discrimination costs. She produced her final document, the one she'd been saving. CO Confidential. Discrimination Audit. American Airlines Flight Operations. Our investigation found that passengers of color are 340% more likely to be questioned about ticket validity. They're 280% more likely to be asked for additional identification. They're 450% more likely to be removed from flights for disruptive behavior, despite identical conduct from white passengers being tolerated or ignored. The numbers hit the cabin like physical blows. Jessica's livestream comments exploded with outrage. Those statistics are horrifying. This is systematic racism exposed live. How is this legal in 2024? Sue them for everything. This is why I drive everywhere. Maya's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and smiled coldly. James Richardson again. I should probably take this call. She answered on speakerphone for maximum impact. Maya, the entire board is in an emergency session. We're prepared to offer whatever resolution you deem appropriate. The company's reputation is... James, Maya interrupted, I'm going to give everyone in this cabin a choice right now in front of 55,000 live stream viewers and growing. The cabin fell dead silent except for Brenda's quiet sobbing. Mr. Brenda's. Morrison, Ms. Collins, Captain Kane, you have exactly 2 options. I'm going to explain both choices clearly, and you're going to make your decision immediately. Morrison tried to speak, but no words came out. Option 1, immediate suspension without pay, pending full federal investigation. Mandatory 120 hours of sensitivity training and bias education. Public written apology to be published in major newspapers and social media. Permanent notation in your personnel files. Probationary employment status for a minimum of 2 years. The crew members looked at each other in horror. Option 2, immediate termination for cause with permanent ban from all airline industry employment. Personal legal liability for all corporate damages, including stock losses, legal fees, and punitive damages. Federal criminal charges filed for civil rights violations. Public testimony required in all related discrimination lawsuits. Maya checked her watch. You have 30 seconds to decide. Patricia Walsh's voice finally crackled through Morrison's radio with panic and desperation. Steve, corporate legal is on line 1. The stock price is dropping in real time. CNN is calling for interviews. The Department of Transportation is opening an investigation. What is happening up there? Morrison grabbed his radio. Patricia, the passenger, she's the CEO. She's Maya Henderson. She's the actual CEO of the entire airline. Static then? Oh my God. Oh my dear God, Steve, do whatever she says, whatever she wants. The board is in complete crisis mode. Maya's phone showed breaking news alerts cascading across the screen. American Airlines CEO slapped by flight attendant in shocking discrimination. Incident airline stock plummets as CEO, discrimination video goes viral. Transportation Department opens investigation into American Airlines civil rights groups call for boycott of American Airlines. The live stream audience had exploded to 75,000 viewers. "Time's up," Maya announced. "I need your decisions now." Brenda spoke first, her voice breaking. "Option 1, please." "I choose option 1. I have children to support." Captain Kane nodded frantically. "Option 1. Absolutely option 1. Morrison looked around desperately, as if searching for escape routes that didn't exist. "Option 1, he whispered. "Excellent choice," Maya said coldly. "Those decisions are now part of the public record, witnessed by 75,000 people and recorded for legal purposes." She turned to address the live stream camera directly. "But this isn't just about individual accountability. This is about systematic change throughout the entire airline industry." Maya's phone rang again. This time, she showed the caller ID to the camera. "Secretary of Transportation, United States Government." She answered on speaker. "Ms. Henderson, this is Secretary Johnson. The Department of Transportation is prepared to launch a comprehensive investigation into discriminatory practices across all major airlines. We'd like your cooperation. You have it completely, Secretary Johnson, but I'm announcing immediate changes that won't wait for federal investigations." Maya looked directly into Jessica's camera. "Effective immediately, American Airlines will implement the following mandatory reforms. First, every crew member will complete 40 hours of unconscious bias training within 60 days, or face termination. Second, we're launching a passenger rights mobile app that allows real-time reporting of discrimination with automatic corporate review. Third, every discrimination incident will trigger immediate investigation by our new Office of Passenger Equity, headed by civil rights attorneys. Fourth, we're establishing a $50 million annual fund for diversity initiatives and discrimination prevention programs. Fifth, executive bonuses for all management will now be tied directly to discrimination incident reduction and passenger satisfaction scores among minority travelers. The live stream audience was cheering virtually. Comments flooded in. "Yes, systemic change. This is how you use power for good. Every airline needs to do this." Queen behavior. Morrison's radio crackled one final time. Patricia Walsh's voice was barely recognizable through her panic. "Steve, the board wants me to ask, is there anything else?" "Anything else we can do?" "The stock is down 6% and falling." Maya looked around at the crew members who had humiliated her, the passengers who had cheered her degradation, and the cameras that had captured everything. "Actually, Patricia, there is one more thing." The cabin held its breath. "I want every person who witnessed this discrimination and said nothing, who cheered when I was being abused, who assumed I was guilty because of my appearance. I want them to remember this moment. Because the next time they see someone being treated unfairly, they'll have to decide, will they be part of the problem or part of the solution?" Maya closed her portfolio and returned it to her messenger bag. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a flight to catch. We're already 8 minutes late. 4:12 p.m. Departure in 3 minutes." The aircraft cabin had transformed from a scene of discrimination into something resembling a corporate crisis center. Maya's phone buzzed continuously with calls from news networks, civil rights organizations, and government agencies. Jessica's live stream had reached 85,000 viewers as news outlets began covering the story in real time. "Ladies and gentlemen," Maya announced to the cabin, her voice carrying the unmistakable authority of executive command. "Before this flight departs, there are immediate consequences that will be implemented right now." She opened her phone to a conference call application and dialed a number marked Emergency Board Meeting. "James, patch me through to the full board. Every member needs to hear this." Chairman Richardson's voice came through the speaker, along with background voices of other board members in heated discussion. "Maya, we're here. The entire executive board, legal counsel, and media relations team." "Good, because I'm implementing immediate changes that won't wait for committee reviews or quarterly meetings." Maya looked directly at Brenda, who was still collapsed in a seat, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Brenda Collins, you are hereby suspended without pay, effective immediately. You will report to Human Resources within 48 hours for disciplinary proceedings. Your actions today violated federal civil rights laws and company policy. Brenda nodded frantically through her tears. Yes, ma'am. I understand. I'm so sorry. Steve Morrison, you are demoted from manager to ground crew, effective immediately. Your salary is reduced to entry-level wages. You will complete 160 hours of sensitivity training before being eligible for any supervisory role. Morrison's face crumpled. Ms. Henderson, please, I have a mortgage. I have kids in college. You should have considered that before assuming I was a criminal based on my appearance. Captain Kane, you are stripped of your senior captain status and reassigned to domestic short-haul flights. Your pay grade is reduced by 40%. You will undergo psychological evaluation and bias training before flying international routes again. Kane's decorated career was dissolving in real time. Ma'am, I've been flying for 37 years. And in 37 years, you never learned to treat passengers with basic human dignity. The live stream audience was cheering virtually. Comments poured in, justice served. This is how accountability works. Finally, someone with power doing the right thing. Maya addressed the phone conference. James, I want these policy changes implemented across all American Airlines operations within 30 days. First, every crew member will wear body cameras during passenger interactions. All footage will be reviewed by our new Passenger Rights Division. Second, any discrimination complaint will trigger automatic suspension pending investigation. No exceptions. Third, we're partnering with the NAACP, ACLU, and civil rights organizations to create oversight committees with real authority to investigate and impose penalties. Richardson's voice came through the speaker. Maya, the legal team, is concerned about the liability implications. The liability of continuing discrimination is far greater than the cost of preventing it. These changes are non-negotiable. Maya turned to address Linda Lane, who had witnessed everything in stunned silence. Linda, you're promoted to Regional Operations Manager, effective immediately. Your first assignment is implementing these new policies. Linda's eyes widened. Ms. Henderson, I thank you. I won't let you down. I know you won't, because you treated me like a human being when everyone else saw a problem to be solved. Maya's phone displayed breaking news alerts in real time. American Airlines stock recovers as CEO announces major reforms. Transportation Secretary praises airline's discrimination response. Civil rights leaders. Call Henderson, Leader of the Year. Officer Martinez approached respectfully. Ms. Henderson, do you want to press charges against the crew members? Maya considered this carefully while 90,000 people watched on livestream. Officer Martinez, I want something more powerful than criminal charges. I want them to spend the next year learning why their assumptions were wrong. I want them to become advocates for change instead of examples of what not to do. She turned to face Brenda directly. Brenda, part of your probation will involve speaking at diversity training sessions across the airline industry. You're going to tell your story, all of it, to thousands of employees. You're going to help prevent this from happening to anyone else. Brenda looked up, tears still flowing. I will, I promise. I want to make this right. Good, because accountability isn't about punishment, it's about growth. Maya's phone rang again. She showed the caller ID to the live stream, Oprah Winfrey. She declined the call and smiled slightly. I think we've had enough cameras for one day. The digital departure board updated, Flight 447. Departure 1 minute. A new flight attendant appeared. Maria Santos, professionally dressed and clearly nervous about the situation she was walking into. Ms. Henderson, I'm Maria Santos, your replacement flight attendant for this journey. How can I ensure your comfort today? Maya looked at Maria's name tag, noting the small pride flag pin next to it. Maria, treat every passenger exactly the way you treated me just now, with respect, professionalism, and human dignity. That's all anyone wants. Yes, ma'am, Absolutely. The passengers in first class had remained unusually quiet throughout the confrontation. Now, one by one, they began approaching Maya. An elderly businessman who had earlier agreed with Brenda's actions stepped forward hesitantly. "Miss Henderson, I owe you an apology. I made assumptions, too." "I was wrong." Others followed. "I'm sorry I recorded instead of helping. I should have spoken up when I saw what was happening. Thank you for handling this with such grace." Jessica, still live streaming, approached with her phone camera. "Miss Henderson, my audience wants to know, how do you feel right now?" Maya looked directly into the camera, addressing the 95,000 people watching worldwide. "I feel hopeful, not because justice was served today, but because change is possible when people choose to grow instead of defending their prejudices." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "This isn't about me being the CEO. This is about every person who gets treated, like I was treated today, but doesn't have the power to fight back. This is about the single mothers, the students, the elderly passengers, the immigrants who face discrimination every day and have no voice." The livestream comments had shifted completely. This woman is a real leader, using her power to help others. This is what justice looks like. Every CEO should watch this. Maya returned to her seat, 2A, the seat she'd been assigned all along. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Williams, your replacement captain for today. We're cleared for departure to JFK. Flight time will be approximately 5 hours and 30 minutes. As the plane finally began to taxi, Maya opened her laptop and began typing. The memo was addressed to every American Airlines employee worldwide. Subject: Today we choose change. The transformation had begun. 3 months later, Maya sat in her corner office on the 47th floor of American Airlines headquarters in Fort Worth, Texas. The wall behind her desk displayed framed articles from major newspapers. The slap heard around the world. How one CEO changed aviation forever. The Henderson effect. Airlines embrace reform. Her assistant knocked and entered. "Ms. Henderson, the quarterly discrimination report is ready for your review." Maya opened the thick document, scanning the statistics that would have been unimaginable just months earlier. Discrimination complaints down 78% across all American Airlines operations. Customer satisfaction among minority passengers up 45%. Employee bias training completion rate 99.7%. Stock price up 23% from pre-incident levels. But the numbers that mattered most were different ones. 0 incidents of passenger slapping. 0 boarding pass destructions. 0 passengers humiliated based on appearance. Her phone buzzed with a text from Brenda Collins. "Ms. Henderson, completed my 40th bias training session today. Teaching crew in Detroit tomorrow. Thank you for giving me a chance to grow instead of just punishing me." B. Maya smiled. Redemption was possible when people chose it. Jessica Winters had parlayed her viral livestream into a social justice platform with 2.3 million followers. Her bio now read, "Witnessing change, promoting equity, learning every day." Her latest post showed her at an airport, interviewing passengers about their travel experiences. The comments section had transformed from toxic to supportive, with people sharing stories of positive interactions and calling out discrimination when they saw it. The ripple effects had spread far beyond American Airlines. United, Delta, Southwest, and every major carrier had implemented similar reforms. The Henderson protocols became industry standard: body cameras for crew, real-time discrimination reporting, mandatory bias training, and executive accountability tied to passenger equity metrics. The Department of Transportation had codified these practices into federal regulation. Secretary Johnson called it the most significant civil rights advancement in aviation history. Maya's phone rang. The caller ID showed Oprah Winfrey, a call she'd been avoiding for months. This time, she answered, "Maya Henderson speaking. Ms. Everyone." "Henderson, this is Oprah. I've been trying to reach you for an interview about your incredible story of transformation and justice." "Oprah, with respect, this story isn't about me. It's about the millions of people who face discrimination every day without cameras recording or CEOs standing up for them. That's exactly why I want to talk to you. Your platform, your voice, you could inspire so many people. Maya considered this. What if we did something different? What if instead of talking about what happened to me, we highlighted the people who are creating change in their own communities? I love that idea. 2 weeks later, The Henderson Effect aired as a special Oprah segment featuring ordinary people who had witnessed discrimination and chosen to act. A teacher who challenged bias in her classroom. A store manager who changed hiring practices. A neighbor who stood up to racist comments. Each story began the same way. I saw what Maya Henderson did, and I decided to do something too. Maya returned to flying regularly, always in simple clothes, always observing. But now, crew members recognized her instantly, not as the CEO, but as the woman who had changed everything. On a recent flight to Chicago, she watched a young black man in a hoodie approach first class with his boarding pass. The flight attendant, a woman Maya had never met, greeted him warmly. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Porting." Johnson, "Can I help you with your carry-on?" No questions about ticket validity. No assumptions about fraud, just professional service. Progress. Maya opened her laptop and began writing her weekly blog post for the American Airlines website, a practice she'd started after the incident. This week's topic, why change requires courage from everyone. 3 months ago, I was slapped, humiliated, and almost arrested because people made assumptions about who I was based on how I looked. But here's what I learned. Real change doesn't happen when someone with power stands up. Real change happens when everyone chooses to see each other differently. She paused, thinking about her next words carefully. So here's my challenge to everyone reading this week. Notice the invisible people around you. The cashier who works 2 jobs to support her family. The janitor who speaks 3 languages. The security guard with an engineering degree. The person whose story you know by job title but not by dreams. Ask questions instead of making assumptions. Listen instead of judging. Stand up instead of staying silent when you see discrimination. Because the next Maya Henderson might not be a CEO with the power to fight back. She might be someone who needs you to be her voice. Maya posted the blog and immediately received hundreds of comments from readers sharing their own stories of change, growth, and standing up for others. Her phone buzzed with a text from James Richardson. Board meeting moved to 3:00 p.m. CNN wants to discuss the annual report. Discrimination incidents down 89% industry-wide. You changed everything, Maya. She responded, "We all changed everything. That's how real progress works." The flight that was supposed to last 5 hours and 30 minutes had changed an entire industry in less than 4 months. Maya Henderson had answered the call to justice. Now she was asking everyone else to answer it too.